Alright, welcome. So today we have Hercules. He's been requested for a while now to do an updated build for Season 3, so let's get right into it. I do want to make a couple points about his abilities for the newer players out there, just kind of understand why would you build a certain way for Hercules and not, some other way. So starting with his passive, a lot of people tend to forget that he actually has a passive. All it really is, a percentage of your missing health is contributed and just gives you more physical power, up to 30 plus 2 per level. So it can allow you to make some turnaround plays. They think, they're trying to chase you down and you're almost dead, you pop your 3, then you start, damage returned as healing going on, and then you still have physical power bonus, so it can allow you to make some turnaround plays, and it's almost like a free physical power item just on his passive. So you don't have to build that much physical power to really do a lot of damage with him. So, and that brings me to my next point. I feel he's more of a ability-based warrior, right? So he makes a lot of his plays and a lot of his damage just comes just out of his abilities. As you can see, especially his ultimate, it hits so hard, 800 flat, just by leveling up to max, and then I believe it's 100% of your physical power from your items gives additional damage to that ability, as well as his 2 and 1 combo does a lot of damage, and his 2-1s can, obviously help pull somebody to you, and you can push him back on your tower, things like that, make really good plays with that. And as well as the abilities that you should level up, I'd probably say, level up your 1 first, then your 3, your ultimate all times, and your 2 would be the last thing you'll level up. That's just personally. Your 1 would be your main source of clearing the mini waves as it does the most damage, and as you do level it up, it does scale these the stun direction, so that's pretty important. So with him being a majority ability-based warrior, I would feel it would be a pretty good idea to actually build some cooldown reduction. Probably 20% at the very least, obviously. You probably want to look towards, 30, 35, 40% cooldown reduction. That's pretty much it. So let's get into actually building Hercules, starting with Conquest starts, or maybe like Siege starts, as well as like game modes where you focus on laning for a while, right? So starting with the Bluestone Pendant, I feel will be the best bet for Hercules. It gives you the mana, a little bit of physical power, but the passive, as you do, you use your abilities to clear the waves, obviously. This is directly based off of that and allows you to do a lot more damage to, the mini wave as you run through it. It does a damage over time effect on the minions, and it's super strong. Outside of that, if you're jungling Hercules for whatever reason, Bumbas, if you're support, then you could probably look for the Watcher's Gift or the Mark of the Vanguard, or if you're in the dual lane as a support and you're still looking to do damage, then just go with the Bluestone Pendant. So let's just go into that for now. Next, you definitely want to go into some boots. I would go with your Warrior Tabby. There's no real need for any of the other ones. If you are supporting, then probably Teleria. Allows you to move around the map faster, make quicker ganks, and as well as the health per 5 seconds. HP 5 is really great out of combat, and you can stack this up with your 3. And so when you rotate from lane to lane, you're gonna have all your health back pretty much. So let's go with the Warrior Tabby, looking for a lot of physical power to enhance your ability damage. After you go into that, you have a numerous amount of options you can go into. Most often you are in the solo lane, so I definitely rush the Breastplate of Valor. Pretty cheap item. This is great for ability-based warriors and also assassins. Gives you a high physical protection because oftentimes when you are in the solo lane, you're fighting against another warrior, assassin, hunter, whatever. It's going to be physical god, and this is the best bet. So that way you don't get poked out. You have the 20% cooldown reduction to assure you can keep, using your 1 to clear waves, using your 3 to heal up, things like that. After this, you can go into a damage item. It's pretty typical to see the Jotun's Wrath combined with the Breastplate of Valor. This allows you to have a good hybrid, I guess what I would say, between physical power and protections, and you have the 40% cooldown reduction. However, if you don't want to rush into a Jotun's Wrath right away, and you'd rather be more tanky, then I would highly recommend go into the Mantle of Discord. Yeah, it's a little pricey, but once you get this going, and it's finished at 60 of both protections, which is really huge. And then you have the 15% cooldown reduction compared with, or just combined with your 20% for breastplate. This allows you to have 35 cooldown reduction and be super tanky. And you're still going to do decent damage just because of Hercules' base scaling, just by leveling up his abilities is just so strong. As long as you're, you're even or ahead. If you start falling behind, then you're not going to do too much damage. And so yeah, and the passive is just great to stun the targets around you once you get below 30% health. Then if you go into something like this, then I would recommend going to some damaging items. It really depends on how you want to play your Hercules. Are you looking to do a lot of damage, or are you looking to be a second front line and just absorb a lot of damage and rely on your abilities to do the damage for you? So it really depends on what you're trying to go for as far as trying to build your Hercules. Now let's say you do want to invest in some damage items, since we only have 55 power with this build. Then I would recommend some other items. For one, you definitely lack penetration, so you can go to a Void Shield if you're looking to be more supportive and help out your physical jungler and your hunter in team fights. This will allow them to do more damage. If not, if you're looking for more damage for yourself, then you can go into Titan's Bane, looking for the 33% physical penetration. Does lack a little bit of power. Or you can go into a combination of going to the Stone Cutting Sword, which again, it is expensive, so this build is kind of expensive. You can go to a Stone Cutting Sword, which is really great. The stacks is only 3 stacks, so I'm sure you're between using your 2, pulling them in, you know, throwing a couple of basic attacks, and then when you go to stun them with your 1 for 1.5 seconds, plenty of time to throw out your basic attacks, and this allows you to steal their protections ideally, and that'll allow you to be super tanky. And then the movement speed's really good on Hercules. The reason being, it allows you to more easily chase your target and pop them up and bring them to you with your 2. So you can easily chase down and get more confirmed 2 knockups having that movement speed. So you can go into a Stone Cutting Sword and to a Titan's Bane. You can do something like this. This allows you to, you know, bring up your physical power back up. You have a good amount of protections for both physical and magical, and you have penetration and movement speed, and you can sell your starter item, and you can pick up any other item that you wanted to. If you wanted to go to Void Shield, if magical guys are giving you a hard time, then you can go to the Borg of Hope. Recently, the Shifter Shield has been, the price has been reduced by like 300 gold, and this item is super strong. It's a pretty good optional items for Hercules, honestly. While you're above 50% health threshold, you have 60 physical power, which is huge, and then of course you have protections for both physical and magical. And as you drop below the 50 health percentage threshold, then you have more protection. So it's a pretty good optional item to go into. Now, if you really want to stick to your target, then you could just go into the Frostbound Hammer. So when you pop them up with your 2, you can smack them with 1 auto attack that will apply the Frostbound passive, and then you can dash them into a wall or whatever, stun them, and this allows you to just stick to your target, and they can never really get away from you if you have this paired up with the movement speed item like Stone Cutting Sword. Another movement speed item that can help you out a lot is the Winged Blade. Super cheap and efficient for what it does. 300 health for under 2k gold is huge. Movement speed, attack speed is like a decent, you know, bonus stat. CCR, nice little bonus, and the passive allows you to ensure you can chase down your target. If they try to slow you, you're going to be immune to that slow, and they're going to get sped up even more. So it just allows you to easily use your 2 to pop them up, or you can just flat out outrun them and, you know, kind of prevent the like body block them ideally, and then just push them with your 1. You do something like that. So there's a lot of different options and different builds you can go into for Hercules. He's super flexible. Again, so if you're looking for more ability damage, you're going to look for high powered items and penetration items if you're looking to do a lot of damage. In that case, go into Titan's Bane, you can go into Jones Wrath, then you can go into another physical power and pen item of your choosing, whether it's Brawler's Beatstick or the Crusher. Ideally, you'll probably want to get the Brawlers. It's more useful in general, I feel, than the Crusher. Both the same stats, it's just the passive is a little bit better, in my opinion, for Brawler's Beatstick. Void Shield's always a good option to go into. Shield of Regrowth is kind of interesting. It's a very cheap item. I wouldn't have this in my in-game build. You can build it early on because it's super cheap to build into for the stats it gives. But the passive, you can just play around with it, you know, use your 3, heal yourself, and then you gain more movement speed. It's more of a playful item. I wouldn't really take it as a serious item. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I wouldn't build into crit at all for him, and yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything. As far as magical defensive items, the best one would go into the Bulwark of Hope. If your support doesn't have time and they don't want to go into the Hardwood Amulet, then you can pick this up, and that way your support could have the sovereignty, and then you can have the hardwood. You can do something like that. If you're looking to do some anti-healing, then you can go to the Pestilence, obviously. And that is pretty much it. Another good optional item to go into is the Hide of the Urchin. If you are going to build this, there's 2 different points you need to know if you're going to build into this. You can build this into super early to ensure you get your stacks, or you can build this anytime you want to, as long as you're in the winning team and you're getting plenty of kills and assists. Another good optional item, if you can't afford the Mantle of Discord, the cheaper version would just be the Spear Rope. So let's just back all this up and do a quick build for Arena. Arena, the build doesn't change too much in my opinion, except I personally like to rush the Hide of the Urchin, so let's go into that real quick. Warrior Tabby, then I'll go into Urchin because there's a lot of killing being done in Arena, and then I go into the rest of the items. You could go into the Breastplate of Valor, and then you could go into the other cooldown reduction items that you want to. Again, it depends on how much damage or how much defense you want to be, defensive you want to be, and then you just pretty much wrap it up with something like this. Allows you to do a little bit more damage, just be a little bit more damage oriented build. Again, you can always switch out the Jones Wrath for the Mantle of Discord for the cooldown reduction, or the Spirit Rub, depends, up to you. So that pretty much wraps up for this build video. As far as relics, you could do the blink, so you can act like a tier if you are not good with knocking up your wand. So the way this works, you blink behind your target, turn around, and then push them in. You can do something like that, just as tier would, or you can outrun them in pick, sprint, and do the same thing. It's all up to you. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up. So there's a lot to cover, so a little bit longer of a video, so hopefully it was helpful. Again, if I didn't cover a build that worked for you, please let us know, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.